Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance still coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Picking Up the Pieces. Okay, this is going to be kind of an update that's going to lead into one more update for the end of the day. We're going to get into a lot of this stuff as people start to make their way in. I know many of you are going to ask me how I'm doing, and, you know, we're going to talk about, kind of like what's the plan for today. And then we're going to talk a little bit about me tonight, basically what I'm doing. The main focus is what we're doing today to kind of get everyone, back together. I guess you could say keep everyone on the same playing field. Okay. Um, so as everyone starts making their way in, we got a lot of ground to cover. We got a lot to talk about. Um, Basically, what's our plan from here? We've done all we can do and then some. Okay. Um, what do we need to do basically from here, Prince Magnum? Have you got a plan? Yes, I've got a plan. Um, as everyone begins making their way in, we'll talk a little bit about that today. I don't want to stay live super, super, super long today because we basically got a lot to cover. I've got a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff to do. I've got a lot of cleaning to do around the apartment. Um, the usual stuff, usual stuff. So we do have a lot of ground. I got a lot. I'm going to be busy today. So, first things first. Um, I know a lot of you have been asking, um, how I'm holding up. For right now, I'm about as well as you can expect. Okay. I've been burning the midnight oil heavy because of everything. Um, you know, it's one of those things. I've been burning the candle at both ends, kind of getting things prepared for this big moment of Princess Bays returning. So that's kind of the gist of it there. We're going to talk a little bit about, basically you're getting an update right now, and then we're going to talk about another update, and then picking up the pieces will only be about no more than 3 times a week, kind of keeping you all up to speed. Kind of keeping y'all updated as we go along. Um, so that's kind of the plan right now. So I'm not going to say a whole lot just yet because, as I said, I already know people will slowly start making their way in here in the next few minutes. Usually around 10, 15 minutes, everyone starts coming in and asking how I'm doing. They stay for about, 10, 15 minutes and then they're off doing their own thing, which that's fine. I do it too. We're all in this. Um, we are going to be including something new, something different, kind of like a part two to last night because the feedback was very positive. So we're going to talk maybe a little bit about that today, probably a little bit more about it tonight. Um, so that's kind of the gist of that. Again, we got a lot of ground to cover today. Okay. Um, it's Monday. A lot of folks are going to be at work. It's going to be, it's probably not going to be a super, super big stream. Then again, y'all may surprise me. So I definitely recommend that if you're, maybe you're trying to keep caught up with the channel, whatever, watch playbacks, do that sort of thing. Um, I will definitely keep you all in the loop. Okay. So we do have a lot of ground to cover, and we can kind of kick it off. Um, but we do have a lot of ground to cover. Again, today I'm going to be spending a little bit of time getting the apartment kind of cleaned up and straightened out because It looks like a little bit of a disaster. I've been doing a little bit of cleaning here and there, but you know, I haven't exactly felt like myself last few days. Normally, I don't even let myself get this scruffy. You know, I just, I haven't, I've been taking care of me, but not taking care of me, sort of thing. That's kind of the gist of it, which I think a lot of folks can kind of understand. Um, so, as folks begin to make their way in, I'm going to make sure that everything is all set so I don't miss anything in the chat because I know a lot of you are going to have a lot of questions. So, um, we're going to be live for close to about an hour. Um, so, just kind of hang in there with me. Um, bear with me, okay? We got a lot of ground to cover. I got to make a pot of coffee too this morning. So, okay. We've got a few more minutes yet. As y'all make your way in, please be sure to tell me how you're doing. Don't even wait for me to ask. Okay, tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you guys are holding up through all this mess, having to, kind of watch me go through the horrors, if you will. Um, that sort of thing. Keep me up to speed on how you all are doing too. Um, the big thing right now that I want everyone to fully understand is that, again, I don't want anyone to be angry with Princess Faye. She's not well, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of everything that, kind of like a synapse. We're going to talk about plans with the channel today and that sort of thing. We're going to talk about the expansion, what we're expanding into. Basically, we're going to talk about the moment Princess Faye gets home, regardless. Okay, that's going to be the big gist of it. We're going to kind of go over, kind of touch base on the events of the last picking up the pieces, what we've done, the big ones that we really need to focus on. And we're going to kind of go from there. Okay. So basically, today, this one is kind of like what we've already talked about a plan of action the moment she gets home. And, kind of like basically, I guess you could say I've already kind of mapped out the next several years with Princess Faye the moment she gets home. There's still some of the stuff that's up in the air, a subject to change, but for the most part, this is kind of like the concrete. This is how we're going to do it. Okay. So we're almost at that 10-minute marker where we begin talking about that. Um, so again, bear with me. There's a lot of ground to cover. Um, so again, as everyone begins to make their way in, the main focus is that we're going to talk about Princess Faye. Later on tonight, we're going to talk about me, kind of like an update on how I'm doing as far as my well-being. Again, I'm more worried about my wife, so she's going to come first in today. Tomorrow, later on today, we'll talk about that. Then tomorrow, I don't know yet. We haven't gotten that far. Wednesday, I've got a plan of action. But this series is going to wind down just a little bit because the main focus is going to be where Princess Faye is, and that where what we know and that sort of thing. So we got a lot of ground to cover. Okay, now we're close enough to the 10-minute marker, and I know there's some folks starting to make their way in. So let's kick this off proper. We have certain live streams that are going to be of major importance. Okay, these are the ones that we're going to create a playlist, a picking up the pieces playlist, kind of These are the ones you guys need to focus on and continue to share out to everyone. Okay, that's these are the ones you need to continue to share out. We've already done as much as we can do. At this point, we would be beating the dead horse if we continued to go that direction. And at some point, we have to start planning the aftercare, I guess you could say. So that's kind of the gist of it. So I want y'all to continue to share out those streams that I've told you to share out, but we're going to create a playlist so it makes it easier for everyone to, okay, these are the videos you need to pay attention to. So we have something easier to share out. And that sort of thing. But the other side of this is now we've done our part. Now it's my job to start making preparations for Princess Faye's homecoming. And that's going to be the bulk of what we're going to talk about. Now, what are we dealing with? Okay. We're dealing with a young woman, 28 years old, that at the age of 14, her father, Eric Carter, sexually assaulted her. We've talked about that. Her mother, very, very mentally abusive. Her mother, Leah Carter, who was very abusive. Her sister, Alexandria Carter, who's basically enabling this abuse to continue. And also flipped for the bill for my wife to transport some illegal substances across state lines. So we're talking about some serious laws being broken, and the authorities are not doing anything. Now, what is it that my wife is possibly suffering from? Well, we know chemical dependency for sure. And I know marijuana isn't really considered a serious one, but when you're talking about mental health the way that we're talking about, what's going on, Zero? When you're talking about mental health the way that we're talking about, it is, you really need a doctor's prescription in this case. She really needs to see a doctor, but she's also taking, possibly taking Adderall. We're not 100% sure, but everything points to the fact that she may be also taking Adderall. We also know that she's drinking. Marijuana and alcohol do not mix, okay? Causes you to do crazy things, I know from experience, okay? So we're talking about, this along with untreated manic depression, which may have been brought on by the abuse, or she may have just been born with it, and the abuse just made it worse. Okay. So this is the real deal. So now that we are on that whole understanding, okay, there's also another factor that we really haven't taken a close enough look. Project Spirit is the car that everyone knows here on the Prince Magnum channel. Everyone's familiar with Project Spirit. Everyone loves Project Spirit, okay? So there's no question about that. However, here's the other thing that we're not taking into consideration. The original project car was a car called Project Beauty for the Prince Magnum channel. It was a 1996 Ford Mustang base model, and had already won a couple of trophies. I've got them right in there. Could show them to you. And it was a cute little car. I'm not a fan of Mustangs. I'm just not. I know the Mustang and the Maverick ride on the same platform, but I like, for the record, I'm really not a Ford guy. I'm actually more of a GM guy. And even in GM, I have my favorites, and my favorites are Oldsmobile. But, we were working on this project. Princess Faye had a horrible accident. She went off of a ravine backwards, slammed in the back end of the car, slammed into the mud because it had been raining, did a 180, and her head went through the passenger window of the car. True story. Welcome, Danica. Welcome to the live stream. I hope we're kind of doing a synapse of the last few days of this series, kind of the beginning. We're talking about that. I'm gonna get y'all caught up to speed. basically where we're at on how my wife's doing. Well, I'm I like my old American engines. What's going on, Danny? Right now, we're talking about kind of like, what we're, kind of like this is kind of the summary of what we have done, and basically what we're going to do from there. The focus is on Princess Faye. We're going to talk about me later on to tonight's stream. Of course, you and I will probably talk here in a little bit, anyways. Um, so I'll be able to get you fully caught up there as well, Danny. So don't worry about all that. Um, Zero, at some point, I've got to get in touch with you sometime between today or tomorrow to kind of walk me through, because I started reading your stuff. We're still not sure. We're getting to a lot of that stuff. Okay. Okay. So we're kind of talking about the possible mental state that she's in right now. Okay. Most people tend to forget that the original project car for the Prince Magnum channel was a car called Project Beauty, and it was a 1996 Ford Mustang. Has maybe 7 videos on it. Not a joke. Back in the early days of the Prince Magnum channel. Originally, it started off as kind of like a vlog, and then once my health started getting better, I started getting back into my love of cars. We can thank Princess Faye for getting me doing it. Um, so now that we've kind of went over that gist, the original project car, Princess Faye had a horrible accident in that car. I'm gonna say almost about 6 years ago. 6 years ago from now. Um, she was in a horrible, horrible car accident. It was like we had just gotten the second trophy on the car. Okay, okay. Because I'm gonna have you walk me through setting me up on mining Ethereum. So here's the gist of it. When she had this accident, she went off, and anybody who lives in this area knows where I'm talking about. This nice big ravine near this restaurant. Kitty cat on a balcony. She went backwards off of this huge embankment, more or less. And the back end of the Mustang slammed into the mud because it'd been raining. That's what caused the car to kick out on her. And when she hit the mud, the front end did like a 180, and her head slammed into the driver's window, shattering the driver's window. So we may also. Okay, okay. Um, the doctors actually said that there may be a chance that she may lose her hearing or her eyesight or both. Well, we don't know the extent of the damage. They really weren't super clear cut on it. So we may also be dealing with a form of brain damage. I don't know. So, along with all the abuse and the manic depression and the chemical dependency and everything, so we may also be dealing with some of that as well. So, again, where do we go from here? Pretty much at this state, I mean, at this point, all I would be doing would be talking about what we've already talked about. So we're going to really focus on um, creating a playlist. So sometime between now and a few days from now, the Picking Up the Pieces playlist that needs to continue to be shared. The more and more we continue to share those particular streams, where we talk about what her, giving away her parents' names and what they did, talking about, everything that has basically happened to her that basically has sent her into this downward spiral. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to, I need you all to continue to share those streams out, get as many people on board to share it out as well, because the more we do that, the more likely it creates. Hey, what's going on, Ron? We're kind of giving, kind of like, this is where we're at today. Okay. So again, because we're dealing with what we're dealing with and that sort of thing, there are certain streams that are of major importance, and those are going to be the ones we're going to focus on. Okay. So I'm going to create a playlist so people will have something to work with. Those streams then, uh, it's like these are the ones that you guys got to keep sharing out. We got to continue to keep getting the word out. Because again, we're dealing with mental illness, we're dealing with chemical dependency, which are kind of one and the same anymore. They always have been. It's just that we're making it, we're separating it because we're going to have to deal with them separately, and that sort of thing. Really quick, Ron, tell me how you're doing. I use some good positive, and so I have come to the conclusion that we have done such a great job in the YouTube community, well, in the social media community, wonderful, that, it's going to be hard for her to get the street drugs. It's going to be hard for her to even walk into a dispensary because, again, I know, it's a gray area when it comes to talking about marijuana. It's a gray area, okay? But with the fact that we're dealing with chemical dependency, it really should be regulated by a doctor at this point. So that's where I stand on that. And I know there's some people that might want to argue it, but that's kind of where we stand on it. We really got to treat it as such. We've got to lump it into the world of alcoholism as well, if you will, because I know she was doing drinking too. Uh, so here is, kind of like the aftercare. And I've kind of pretty well, today kind of begins that whole plan. The Prince Magnum channel is now going to be expanding. Obviously, we've had a few good laughs about it, but is going to be expanding over into Pornhub. This is not uncommon for a lot of content creators that were hit by the adpocalypse. But the objective is that because we don't know the extent of the damage that she has put herself through, and all that other stuff, she's probably going to be coming back, which I don't know when, and she hasn't had any contact with me for a little while. But the objective right now, okay, is to set everything up. Yeah. So if she when she gets home, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when at this stage, okay? Because we've created enough heat that we've basically made it difficult for her to continue to keep on keeping on, okay? Because even the legal businesses up there are not going to want to do business with her, not going to want to do business with her family, and the police are going to be watching closely. So the objective, once she gets home, first day, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm going to pamper that woman. Okay, I'm going to pamper that woman first day home because she deserves it. Second day, we're going to the treatment center where she needs 28 days to clean out her system. Okay, now considering she's not been, charged with anything that I know of yet, um, and she's not been convicted of anything. But if she keeps on keeping on, that could change, What we have done is create, again, we've created it where it's hard for her to do what she's doing. She's going to run out of the drugs. Good job, community. You guys are awesome. And I know the authorities are going to make it difficult for them up there. Okay? People are aware now. So now it's up to me to start making the plans. So 28 days in a treatment center, we get her out. Obviously, I'm going to pamper her for a day or two. Then we need to get her up to a good hospital for mental health treatment. That's going to take I'm of two minds of it because I've seen it at work in both cases. Okay. I've seen where it's done good. I've seen where it's done bad. Okay. So it's one of those things that the middle ground should be left up to a doctor, a good doctor that can weigh out the pros and the cons. We're going to get there, okay? We're going to get there, Ron, and you take care of you, okay? All right. So while this is going on, I'm going to be working and expanding the Prince Magnum channel in another direction to kind of make sure that we're making enough money to supplement any aftercare, because I've come to the conclusion that Princess Faye may be coming back to us where she may never be able to work again. Okay. Um, so that is our objective right now. Is to get it set up where I can take care of her for the rest of our days. Okay. From now until the end of the freaking time. Okay. That is my goal right now. Okay. So, in this goal of getting us taken care, making sure that we are taken care of for the rest of the time, I've got a lot of work to do behind the scenes. Again, I know we've had a lot of laughs about, how we're expanding over into Pornhub and how I'm going to be using video games and things like that to make that work. Because I've seen a guy, who's actually doing pretty good over there. Well, even if she does become disabled, the objective is that we'll be able to set up enough where we'll be making here in I've got a feeling that I'm going to end up being that stay-at-home husband where I have to take care of my wife, and basically getting paid by the state to stay home and take care of her, because they don't want to pay. Here in Missouri, they don't want to pay the outside companies. They want to pay. They'd rather the family do it, and they'll pay family members to stay home. So we may be at that stage. Um, so if that is the case, the objective is where there's extra money coming in, we can still, fund the channel and everything, and that sort of thing, looking ahead. And I'll be working in the meantime until that happens. Okay. For those who do not know, I'll be going back to work for McDonald's this Wednesday, 6 o'clock in the morning. So that is where we're at. Okay. So the objective right now is basically we got to keep the heat to the feet, if you will, and continue making it difficult. Thank you for that, Zero. So that is our main objective. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that tonight. Kind of like, where I'm going from here. Okay. So the main objective is to set everything up where once she gets home, we're going to be, we're going to be okay. I'm looking about 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So you're an hour behind me. So kind of go from there. Okay. So we have a plan of action. Okay. And this plan of action is, once she gets home, the treatment center that we're looking at is right near my job. So right after work, I would be able to go over and take her lunch and sit with her and that sort of thing. Be right there with her from beginning to end. Okay. So there would be no excuse for me not to be there. Um, and the hospital, I would go up there every day after work. Mm. So that's kind of the gist of that. I understand, Zero. If you can't be there, you can't be there. There's always the playback. Okay. There's always the playback. So that is the gist of it. We've got a lot of ground to cover, in preparation for it. At this stage, I think we've done our job. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Now, even if it did turn into a question of, of her not coming home, we're still good. What's going on, Raven? Good to see you, bud. So that is our plan of action at this point. Continue to share those streams out. And again, I know that's been difficult for a lot of you out there, watching me go through this and having to do what I've had to do. And I know some of you even got strong You know, actually, Raven, now that you said that, there's an old saying in AA. There's an old saying in AA that you might appreciate. So what you just said, that's actually a good thing that you said that, because the old saying in AA, it's good to be, when someone says it's good to see you, you get to say it's good to be seen and not viewed. Okay. So we have our aftercare plan. Okay. We have our aftercare plan once she gets home. We've come to the conclusion that once Princess Faye gets home, once my wife Miranda gets home, the objective is, again, making sure that there's, that she gets to a treatment center, gets cleaned up. There's an amazing treatment center just a couple towns away, and I'm going to be working in that town, so I'll be able to be there. After her 28 days in the treatment center, we pamper her, but for a day or two, and then we go to we take her to a hospital. It'll take about maybe, I'm thinking at least a couple of days for her to, at least a week, maybe two, somewhere in that ballpark. Not yet. Not yet, Raven. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Okay. At this stage, we've got some guesstimations, but nothing concrete. Okay. She's not said anything to me, but it's kind of one of those things that we've created enough heat. She can't keep doing what she's doing. It's too hot. Okay. For the, even the, thank you. And if you want, I'll even give you a call later and kind of walk you through what we've basically done, because it's really hard to kind of even explain it. I'm just kind of giving a synapse of what we have done, okay? And kind of the treatment plan afterwards. Now, later on tonight, we're going to go live. We're going to talk about the entire situation and kind of what I'm doing, okay? But we know that I'm going back to work Wednesday, okay? We got bills to pay. We got a funeral coming up. We got a lot of stuff happening. So here's the plan of the plan of action. Once she comes to her senses and comes home, she gets a day of pampering, but then afterwards, it's the treatment center. After the treatment center, a day or two of pampering, and then it's on to St. Anthony's for however long they say it takes to get her medication regulated, okay? After that, I'm almost figuring that she may not be able to work again, considering the situation, and I'm probably going to end up having to become a stay-at-home husband, okay? What, sweetie? What? Once that happens, I need to basically make sure that we are, that I can do that, through disability checks, and everything that we do here on the channel, and with the expansion, looking at cryptocurrencies, things like that, which Zero is probably going to be helping me out a great deal of. So we're looking at all of that. A plan of action for the next, 20, 30, all the way into, our retirement age anyways. So we're looking at, a plan of action that we can institute, that we can initiate, even if she walked in the door right this second, okay? Or a plan of action that can begin, even if it's a year from now, 2 years from now, things like that. So that's what we're looking at. We will talk more about me tonight, okay? So we have a plan of action. We know what we're doing. We've got a lot of ground to cover between now and however long. Yeah, I'm having my coffee too, Zero. I'm going to have to get ready and make another pot of coffee. So we have a lot of ground to cover. Now, again, we don't know the extent of what, because she was evidently leading a very interesting secret life while she was here. And that secret life, I have every, you guys got to remember there was a time that Prince Magnum did a lot of dark stuff. So I know what that secret life can look like. So yeah, you get it. Okay. There's more details than I can really kind of go in. It's just hard to go into all the details in a live stream. Not saying that I can't talk about it. It's just there's a lot to talk about, and even more than that sort of thing. So there's a lot of ground to cover, and there's even details that we don't know the extent of her secret life. We don't know the way it almost looks like maybe she was in over her head with drug dealers and the police were starting to catch on and everything. Fair enough, fair enough. But there's still going to be details that even I'm sure that you have even missed through the live streams. And I figure, Raven, you and I go back a ways. You deserve to know the ins and the outs. Okay, you deserve to know just as much as a few other people that we're fully acquainted with. So I'm going to get y'all caught up. I'm going to get you caught up on that. So there's a lot of details that I'm not even fully aware of. That's there's still a lot of details. We do have professionals already kind of taking interest in this particular case. They're already preparing for Princess Phase. Well, we're going to have to deal with the treatment center at this point to get her cleaned up. Okay, to get the crap out of her system. She's going to need time to kind of get her head clear, okay? Because even the psychiatrists and all that are not going to be able to do her any good until she's clean, okay? Now we might be able to do all that up at St. Anthony's, but it's one of those things that it's probably better if she does it closer to home to make it easier to kind of make sure that we're on the right track. Then again, they may even suggest a hospital closer to here. But I'm pretty well. St. Anthony's had to take care of one of my grandmothers who was suffering from schizophrenia, and they did a great job. So that's kind of where I'm thinking that we're probably going to end up is going in there, and she's going to need a week or two for them to regulate her medicine, make sure that all of the levels are right, and then once that happens, she'll come home. Oh, there you go. Okay, that's awesome, brother. And so that's kind of the gist of it. Now, once she gets home, we get her straightened out and, that sort of thing. Basically, looking forward, we're pretty sure, a lot of us are like, she's probably not going to be able to work again. That's fine. I don't mind being the stay at home husband, take care of his wife and everything. I don't care if she's drooling everywhere. I will take care of that woman for the rest of my days. Now, tonight we will talk about the other side of this. What if she never comes home? We'll talk about that tonight, okay? What if that worst case scenario, she's in and out of prison and everything and, you know, never gets right and ends up, one of the statistics. We're going to talk about that tonight. Because at some point, there's always that possibility that the worst case scenario, okay? But basically, right now, what we're focusing on right now is when she comes home, okay? But we are going to talk about that horrible case scenario. Well, I don't think it will either, but there's an old saying hope for the best, plan for the worst. You never know. You never know. I've seen it happen to a lot of good people, where they just couldn't get sober. Well, so tonight it's like right now we're hope this, if you will, today this part this this half today is plan for the best. Hope for the best. Right now we're talking hoping for the best. Tonight we're going to plan for the worst case scenario. So that is kind of our plan tonight. We're going to talk about that um, and go from there. Okay. and kind of looking ahead regardless. Because even if she doesn't come home, well, tonight what we're going to talk about, we'll still everything that we talk about will still apply to tonight in a lot of ways, but we're going to go over that later, okay? So that's kind of the gist of it, okay? Um, so we're going to go over that tonight. We're going to basically, right now, this is hoping for the best, okay? Because there's always that worst case scenario. There's always that worst case scenario. And I guess you could say right now we're talking about Princess Faye, getting her the help and getting her on the right track, blah, 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 blah. Tonight, we're going to talk about my aftercare plan with all of this, regardless of what happens, okay? So that is our plan, all right? So moving forward from here, we have a plan of action. We know that there's an excellent chance that Princess Faye may not be able to work again. I'm okay with that. I have no problem taking care of her and doing that sort of thing that husbands do. Because if she gets to that point where she's not able to take care of herself, we got to have it set up because no job will be able to legitimately keep me on if I'm constantly having to run home and take care of my wife if she's flipping out. Okay? Going off the deep end and everything. No job's going to be able to keep me in that particular case. Okay? So we've got to look ahead that far. Again, the worst case scenario. So the other thing that we also have to take into consideration is that, we're going to have to start planning for our living as well, where we're going to live, what we're going to do, so there's going to be a lot of focus on that as well. Again, with me expanding the channel over to kind of like video game music videos on Pornhub, that should help supplement, along with opening up the Patreon account, which I got to try to do some of that today and tomorrow. We're going to be able to do something. It may not be a whole lot of money, but it'll be something. Oh, no. Oh, no. Hang in there, Zero. We'll get you through it. So we do have a lot of ground to cover, okay? Now, again, the main objective is to focus, today we're just focusing on the aftercare for Princess Faye once she gets home. Again, the objective is to get her the help she needs and look ahead because there's an excellent chance that may end up like my grandpa where we have to have, my wife may need 24-hour care. And I had a grandpa that did do that with my schizophrenic grandmother that passed away last year. Not the one that passed away this year. So if that be the case, we need to be ready for that. So that's kind of where we stand on all of this. We just got to look ahead. Basically, we have a plan of action. We know what to do. Again, it's a matter of making it happen, okay, once she gets here. But we have a plan. We know what to do. There's even a plan of action where we may have to move from here, move to a different area here in Missouri because I've got an even better job possibly waiting on me working in a museum in the worst case scenario. So we can even pull up tent stakes here and go there and rebuild, if you will. So there's even that. We'll be okay. So we do have a plan of action. We are looking ahead. We have everything we need, okay, at this stage of the game. We have all this amazing stuff, at our fingertips. We could build, again, we're already in pretty good standing with YouTube. We still have the TikTok channel, so we could still do that. and now I should be hearing back from Pornhub sometime tomorrow. So that's kind of how it is. Again, I know we can laugh about the Pornhub thing, but if it's going to create money, we can't laugh at that too much. And if all goes well, we'll make enough money where we won't even need the disability checks. We can make enough money to just sustain ourselves and keep food on the table and everything. Which I'm even already set up where the moment they say, yeah, you could start uploading content, I can start uploading right away. So we're set. So that's the plan. This is the best plan of action I've got. You know, I think it's a good plan. And there's even where, while this is going on, we could still put Project Spirit back on the road. We're probably going to, once Project Spirit is in good shape, we're going to probably put a for sale sign on Project Lena after squaring up a few bugs and everything. Because there won't be, pretty much everywhere she'll be going, I'll be going, making sure she, taking care of her. So that is our plan. Okay. When the Zero, I know you've heard of the adpocalypse. I don't know how long you've been on YouTube, but a lot of content creators got hit by the adpocalypse. I was actually one of them that got hit. Okay. And when it happened, see, I was fully monetized at one time and was actually standing to make my first check from YouTube. So when that happened, a lot of video game creators went over to Pornhub and started doing adult video games. Well, I'm actually looking now at expanding in that direction to do the same thing. But I'll be doing it through my editing style. And I've got everything all figured out, how I'm going to do it, the whole 9 yards. So that will not be an issue. By doing that, we will then be able to, I guess you could say, because the reason, Pornhub's seen dollar signs, and there's even been people that have streamed adult video games over there on Pornhub. Not a joke. So we're looking at it in that. Yeah, so you can legit do a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. And if you're not too busy, it'll make it easy if I slide over to Fortnite and explain it to you. I don't feel up to being on. Actually, Raven, if you're somewhere in the background and you're not too terribly busy, we'll group up and I'll walk you guys through it. Yeah. So there's people already doing that. Okay. I'm just kind of following in suit. And Pornhub's seen dollar signs. And they run their advertisements and people are making decent money over there, enough to keep the lights on, I guess you could say. There's one guy who did a ROM hack of Sims and makes videos, and it's not bad. And I looked at his stuff and I'm like, I can do that easy, probably even better than him. Because he's okay, but I think I could do better. And I've already got everything all figured out how I'm going to do it. You know, already looking miles and miles ahead. So we're pretty well ready. It's just a matter of getting the okay. which, yeah. So you already understand it. You already know the gist of it. So I mean, it is laughable, yes, but it's not at this point to make money. And I don't look down my nose at anybody. Some of the the live actors that do those scenes. I mean, if they didn't like what they were doing, they wouldn't do it. Plain and simple. And these folks are honest, hardworking people, and they're actors. Okay, and in my opinion, deserve the same credit as the ones that work the major motion production. They're actors, and they deserve it. They deserve the credit for what they do. Even the amateurs. We'll talk more on this tonight. I know, again, it is laughable, but we're looking, it is another source of possible income for us to kind of prepare for Princess Faye's homecoming. Her and I were even talking about this beforehand. So that is our plan, and that's the best plan of action we've got. We'll even be able to make some positive statements over there as well, on that particular platform. One of them, that and farming, agriculture. So that is our plan. Okay. Now I will slide over. We'll talk a little bit more about it on if you guys are available. I'll walk you through everything that we're looking at. And again, I'm going to have to probably get you on the phone and have you walk me through setting up the mining, the cryptocurrency mining. But we're pretty well coming to the end of what we need to talk about today. We do have a plan of action for Princess Faye, and we're, today and tomorrow are going to be busy, 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 and even Wednesday is going to be busy because I'll be returning to work. Um, so that is our plan of action. We've got one. Let's move forward. Let's do something positive. Okay. Continue to share out the streams that I told you guys about. Um, yes, I'll be sliding over to Fortnite. So you guys, we might play a few matches. I'll be on Battle Royale. I'm just not able right now to I'm just not ready to jump on, so I can kind of fill you in because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And Raven, if you're somewhere in the background and that sort of thing, I will. Oh, she's there. Okay, I want to make sure that Zelda made it back in. So we do have a lot of ground to cover, but I do have a lot of cleaning to do today as well. A lot of cleaning to do today. So bear with me. I'm going to be around here like Ricochet Rabbit, but you guys get it. All right. So that does bring us to a good stopping point for right now. We'll go live later on today around 6, maybe 7 o'clock Central Standard U.S. time. Again, we're planning for the possibility. It's not we don't have anything concrete yet, but we're just planning ahead. Okay, we got a lot of ground to cover. If she makes it home, if when she makes it home, but we need to do what we need to do. Okay, so thank you all again for being here. Thank you for continuing to share out those streams. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We've done a great job, but we got a lot of road ahead of us. So, with that being said, don't take anything for granted. If you have with your loved ones, don't take anything for granted. They are just as special as they can be. Don't take anything for granted. Don't turn a blind eye if you see anything out of place. With that being said, if nobody has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.